This is Keith Howard. I am presenting a video for my Svc Lrng project. I am a student in UCD School of Education and Human Development, SPED 5151. For my Svc Lrng, I went through Volunteer Match and found Reading Partners in Denver. This is a group that trains and dispatches tutors for students who need help in their literacy. What I like about Reading Partners is that they focus on schools where there's a very clear need for support for their students, socially, economically, and of course academically. These are schools that are somewhat challenged. What I also like about the framework of what Reading Partners provides is a sense of consistency. There's a set time that I'm to show up each week for my student. And in any mentor situation, I believe that consistency is of paramount importance, because a big part of what you're doing is you're building trust. My student is named Avia. She is obviously from a different culture. I have not met her yet. And she attends Dora Moore in Capitol Hill. Dora Moore used to be a neighborhood school in a working class neighborhood. And I know this is true because I lived there. I lived a block from Dora Moore in 1985. And at the time, it was a great place to live, vibrant neighborhood, and I could afford a studio apartment while attending grad school and working one or two jobs part-time to make ends meet. Making ends meet in that neighborhood would not be possible today. Gentrification has changed drastically the demographic of the folks who live in that neighborhood. Like a lot of schools in DPS, the families that used to live close to the school have had to move elsewhere, and the students commute in to what was once their neighborhood school. Dora Moore is a Title I school. They have a greater percentage of kids who face economic and social disruption in their lives. And what's ironic is that in a Title I school, teachers can be under even greater pressure to get the kids to keep pace with a very demanding curriculum, which is set by the district. And I think as a mentor, part of what I get to do is kind of stitch together some of the gaps that some kids may face as they're trying to keep up and struggling. The nature of the learning that needs to go on, both for myself and the student, is twofold. The first part is looking for the impediments that the child may face in her literacy skills. I'll sort of go backwards to look at letter identification in the alphabet. I'll be looking at phonemes. I'll be looking at how she's able to construct words from the sounds that phonemes make. Going back to the basics and identifying any areas that need to be targeted and filled in. And also, a big part of what I'll be doing as a mentor is identifying the strengths that the student has and building on those, building self-confidence, which is an enormous part of mentorship. I get to be a cheerleader, and a lot of kids don't have that. I have had a number of delays in getting this posting going, so I am having to call on my extensive experience mentoring others in the recent past to propose what I feel this should look like. I've I've learned that I have to appreciate what the kid can do. And that helps a kid feel like he or she is being seen and recognized. And that matters a great deal. And in recognizing the kid, I can recognize things that the child might need in terms of believing in themselves. Um, I might recognize a need for determination. I can encourage pride in accomplishment. I can talk about making a mistake and sitting with it and picking up and saying, okay, I made a mistake. Here's how I'm going to move forward. And these are all lessons in how to navigate through the challenges of school, and they're life lessons as well. And that's a big part, I think, of being a mentor, is bringing that perspective and recognizing what the needs are. And often in a situation where the teacher is so pressed, they don't have the time to really focus on some of these sort of underlayment type of lessons that a child may need to succeed. Um, I also have learned that patience with a kid and really appreciating their efforts has been essential. And also, as a mentor, the joy that comes when a kid makes a breakthrough, and you quietly sit there and think to yourself, "I got to see that." And that's something that, as an educator, you get to take with you, and it's priceless. Um, Knowing that I was going to be mentoring in a Title I school, I looked to some resources that I thought would be helpful. I went to Oakes and Lipton from 1999 and looked at their book, Teaching to Change the World, because it elucidates how a lot of the social underpinnings of our public education system have built racism into the system, and how many children of color are actually set up to fail. And I feel that's a very important sort of infrastructure for me to recognize if I'm going in to help. I also looked at Brackett from 2019 because I felt that he identified a really important theory that I have some belief in, which is that a child's native language determines their worldview and also can influence the way that they think. And I've paid careful attention to some of the nuances in communicating that my students have had who are not in a family where English is the primary language. There are subtle things that I've seen them struggle with in communicating and recognizing English words, and especially how they can be used in conversation. And I think that basis, that context linguistically is important to understand. And the last reference for me that has been really important was from Goldman, 2006, who identified the freedom actually that comes from helping someone else. The shift in perspective where your own problems kind of get put in perspective, and also helping someone else really broadens one's outlook. And that's something I'm looking forward to in my mentorship opportunity.